Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to ETHRWorld's virtual thought leadership series powered by Coursera. I'm Devina Lasson, and today we're here to deep dive into an extremely interesting topic, which is crafting impactful learning experiences with new generation technologies. Now, needless to say, this is truly a topic that's so relevant across the board because we are living in an era where technological advancements are reshaping the entire landscape of learning and development. Crafting impactful learning experiences has become the cornerstone of every organization's success. So, through this session, we will delve into the innovative ways that new gen tech like AI, VR, AR, immersive simulations, and so much more are completely revolutionizing the learning experiences. And by leveraging these cutting edge tools, organizations can also create more engaging, personalized, and effective learning environments that cater to the ever evolving needs of the modern workforce. So, without further ado, to tell us a lot more about this, it's my pleasure to welcome our guest today. We have joining us Archana Karthik, Asia Pacific IBM Consulting Learning and Knowledge Leader, IBM, and Arushi Agarwal, Head of Coursera for Business India. Archana, Arushi, welcome. Such a pleasure to have you here today. Thank you both for joining.
Thank you.
All right, so to both our panelists, let's kickstart with a little bit of context setting. Archana, if you'd like to kickstart the topic by just helping us understand a little bit of a foundation here, how, in your experience, new gen technology, so we're looking, of course, at AI, Gen AI, VR, AR, how, according to you, are they completely transforming the traditional learning methodologies? And what would you say are the most significant benefits that you've observed so far in your career?
Thanks, Devina. So I think I'd like to open this by saying that, past is a testimony to how technology was used in enhancing learning. So if you look at, from OHPs to projectors, I don't think some people listening to this conversation are aware of what is an OHP. Projectors to computers, and then internet, there was a big leap. It was a giant leap that we took. So every time there was a change in technology, or there is newer technology that comes into play, very well learning and development team catches on and then looks at how can we enhance learning using these new areas, right? So now we have AR, VR. I think VR has been there for some time now. Augmented reality, the AR part of it is just catching up. And of course, we've got AI, the artificial intelligence. All these put together are now called XR, so the experiential reality. In short, right? They are all here to stay, and I think it's left up to the L&D professionals how we are going to adopt and integrate as part of our traditional or our usual learning experiences, right? My personal favorite here, and something that very clearly with the change in the way people are learning, is personalized learning. That's one thing I think organizations are experimenting with. They are at different levels of maturity in embracing personalized learning. And what is personalized learning, right? It is about me as a learner. Where am I on the journey, right? Which would be very different from, likely very different from the others, right? And what do I need at this point in time, and what will take me from point A to point B on my learning journey, right? Personalizing this either by having some simulations and tests that come up front to see how much I already know, what experience I've got, right, and then build a learning for me which is just consumable by me. It also will take into consideration different learning styles. For example, I may be a visual learner, or there could be people who prefer to listen to to audio. There could be others who would prefer stories that they can connect to. So considering the different audience styles, the learning can be personalized, right? I think XR is what would help to personalize these journeys. I think the other aspect here is also, VR, which makes, tough concepts easy. When I think back about, my physics lessons or, chemistry lessons, they were just so hard for me because it was very difficult to visualize, what just even if we take the simple example of our solar system or our universe, it was so hard. But today when I look at some of the beautiful videos that are out there, that are created, and then there is the immersive experience that gets added as a dimension to it, right? So where I can actually immerse myself now, if I bring it back to my corporate experience, there could be typically tough situations that people are in, that they need to understand how do they navigate those situations, right? Or complex problems that they are trying to solve, right? And having these immersive experiences cuts down, I think, one is the learning time, because you're not reading words and trying to understand what that concept means, but you're actually going through the experience and trying to learn. And that learning, I think, because of the experience, it sticks, it stays longer with the people, right? So I think that is another advantage I see. And I think it's just more fun. Just learning this way is going to be so much more fun, right? And it also helps us practice without the mess, you know get into situations, experiment with things, and there is, the real fallout is not there. It is more of, what is there in that virtual world, and then you pick up from there, and then you learn that there are other ways of doing things, right? I think what else can I think of? I think leading to that experiential immersive learning also are, it creates a safe environment. Go ahead, dabble, make mistakes, fall, pick up, learn quickly, iterate, right? So it just helps us to become more agile in the way we learn, learn to navigate through complex situations. um, I think the other advantage that I see in these kind of AI based learning and personalized learning is the trainers or the teachers who are part of this journey along with the students get a very different view to how people are learning. What are the interventions that are needed? At what time they need to insert themselves and help, guide, mentor. So the role itself will change from traditional teaching concepts to understanding where the person is and giving the right level of intervention to the person. And my favorite that's there these days is the agentic AI. So we all understand that now we've got AI agents. They can self-learn. They can, complete tasks that are given to them. They can be given a goal and then they achieve the goal. I know that corporations invest quite a lot, in the learning deployment space. So we have a lot of people who are actually doing, let's say, low level admin jobs of, let's say, I'm running a session. I've got 24 people as capacity, 10 people have, accepted. Now the balance people are not. So then there are actually people chasing these guys saying, can you confirm, please respond, or whatever it is, right? So these kind of low level admin tasks, which are a pain. No matter what level you are at, those admin tasks are a pain to do. If they can be, taken off or offloaded by agentic AI, it just frees up the person's time. It just increases the productivity, so the person can go and do, other things which require human intelligence, right? Human intelligence should not be taken up to do, low level admin tasks, is my view. And I think the way I'm seeing this whole journey unfold, we are headed in the right direction. Yeah. So I'm going to stop there and see if you've got any inputs to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. What a great context setting here. And of course, such relevant points, because ultimately we're really looking at the incoming of personalized learning, what this means for each individual employee, and of course, how it's taken forward through all the modern technology we're looking at. Arushi, I'd love to bring you in here. And if you can just help us understand in terms of personalized learning, how are you seeing AI driven platforms really being harnessed, really being utilized to tailor to the learning experiences to every single individual employee, understanding their needs, their preferences, and really creating that holistic experience for each of them ultimately?
Absolutely. Thank you. And Archana, I think really great points, starting right from the giant leap of the internet to, the world of agentic AI that we live in today. So really resonate with all of the points that you shared. And Devina, if I were to take this further, any user or any learner, because of the technology world that we live in, their individual expectations are always quite high, right? If they have seen any app or any technology platform which is giving them a good UI, UX, a good experience, a good outcome, that is their expectation, irrespective of what they're doing. They want it to order groceries, they want it for their learning, they want it for their employment, they want it for everything, because that is the way a user has started to expect organizations to provide benefits to them. And Coursera has the wonderful privilege of having been founded by two Stanford AI professors more than 10 years ago. So the AI journey is something that we have been on even before it became such a household topic, right? So we've had the benefit of this. And I believe that personalization in learning has been possible because of technology and because of AI. So if I were to share a few examples, at the outset, every learner is different in their current competency and their requirements of learning. Because what happens without technology is you're given a common curriculum, you're in a classroom, you have to keep doing the same thing as the others that are in that same cohort, right? But technology actually provides the opportunity to baseline yourself and then to learn what is relevant beyond what you know. So it becomes quite productive. I think that's the first area. The second area that we've observed is high quality learning, but still feeling like there is somebody with you. So that is what AI does in the form of, a personalized chatbot, an assistant who can actually recommend. And that's a feature that we have on our platform as well, which we call Coursera Coach, which becomes an intelligent conversation area with you where it tells you this is what you can do if these are the probable areas that you want to kind of become more learned in. And the third then becomes about the learning teams being able to offer a personalized journey without this being too labor intensive for them. Imagine in large organizations, for example, IBM and many others, there are hundreds and thousands of people. How are teams expected to tailor journeys? That can again happen through technology and through AI, where through natural language inputs, it is possible to take the journeys and then make it personalized. So, at all levels, at the level of identification, at the level of assignment, as well as at the level of engagement and learning and actual adoption by the learners, personalization is truly possible. And I think we're just getting started. So excited to see where we go from here.
Wonderful. Thanks for that, Arushi. And you know what really comes to mind, of course, as you reference some of the world's largest organizations, surely there are certain challenges too when it comes to really integrating and adopting the new technology. Archana, I'd love to pose this question to you, which is what challenges do you see organizations facing when it comes to trying to integrate all these advanced technologies we're talking about today? As you mentioned, agentic AI is such a big one, because this integration into the current learning and development programs surely takes a few steps. And how can organizations make this a seamless process? How do you see organizations addressing the challenges as well?
Thank you again. A great question, Devina. I remember this was, I think, 10, 15 years back when we had Second Life. I don't know if any of you experienced this, I think I would call it a virtual reality kind of a thing, So we could create our own personas and, go in there and then experience the different world, right? So when that came in, it was pretty exciting. And we were trying to, of course, see how we can dabble with that technology in learning. I think we faced quite a few hurdles, which included one was it was very cost prohibitive. It was very expensive, because the kind of servers that we needed to set up to just run that program, and then having those access provided to everybody who's using Second Life at the user end, right? The biggest challenge that we faced at that time was cost. Okay. However, I think there are a few things I want to highlight in terms of what happens when we are trying to adopt new technologies, right? And it's just those hiccups. I think, like I said, we have. If you look at the past tells us we've all adopted, adapted, and now virtual learning is, I think. 60% of the learning that's happening today in organizations is virtual, right? It might, those percentages might increase further. I think the biggest thing would be, I'll call out, is change. People are resistant to change, right? Until it is proven that this is a better way, this is an easier way. It cuts down on the time to learn. It cuts down on the investment that you put in terms of cost that goes into it, right? Until that point, there's always resistance to change. So change management, I think, is a big step as we are trying to embrace the new technologies, right? The other one, which I kind of reference to, is the technology, the setting up of technology, how it works, the support that you require to, run the technology. If there are glitches, what do you have in the back end? Who do people reach out to, right? In terms of all of the setup of technology is the other big challenge that I think. I mentioned the cost already, right? And also, I think it is with different users who have different technical requirements. We also need to be very inclusive in considering people, let's say they're working from home, or people with different abilities. How are we catering to all these various audience, right? So considerations to adopting new age technology would also mean we are being more inclusive about the audience and how they are going to adopt the technology, right? And I think finally I'll close with the right training and support. So people who are using the technology also need to be aware of how to use. So Arushi mentioned self help and support while doing learning. I myself am a avid user of Coursera, and if you go and look at my profile, you'll find that I'm already doing a couple of courses in progress on the tool. But if I'm not aware, for example, that I've got these bots who can clarify things for me, or instead of a live instructor or me posting a question and waiting for an answer 2 days later, I can actually get help. It's, I think, more about training the user as much as giving them whatever backend support that is required. So there is an investment that goes into the training and support of the users, but also training and support of the staff who need to use these new technologies and tools, right? I also know that organizations now are looking at different learning retention methodologies, right? So, for example, 20% of what I have learned possibly is what I'm going to retain, right? So, in that case, how do I get a prompt, let's say 10 days later or 20 days later, that tells me, hey, this topic, do you remember? These are the three key bullet points, or some such prompt that helps me with learning retention, right? So yeah, I think if I just put down in terms of challenges I've talked about, those would be the relevant areas where I would think we are facing challenges today.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. I think so relatable across the board here. And once again, Arushi, this is a great time, I think, for you to come in because as we're hearing some of the very real and real time online, on ground challenges that organizations are facing, can you tell us a little bit about Coursera's innovative approach to online learning? How are you really understanding organizations, understanding these challenges, harnessing all the new gen tech to create these immersive, engaging learning experiences on your platform, while at the same time, of course, addressing all the points that Archana is talking about, which is the very real teething issues that organizations may face.
Yeah, absolutely. And, taking a cue from what Archana has shared in terms of ultimately everybody is looking at it from an individual learning perspective. So, the few areas that we have invested in as an organization. So, if I were to start, really, Coursera was founded with a view to provide world-class learning access to the whole world, right? And what we have understood is everybody learns in different languages based on where they are based in the world or where their work is taking them. So, what we have done very recently is we've used the power of AI and machine learning and machine translations to actually translate almost 50% of our catalog, which is the top 50%, into 20 plus global and Indian languages. So, we believe that this is a huge power of technology, which would not have been possible to scalably do if done manually. So this is one area. The second that we have done is, we've said, let's walk the talk. We teach the world how to use AI, Gen AI technology. How do we make sure that our platform has it? So in order to support the admins and the learning teams, what we've done is we've created a tool called Course Builder, where both the use cases of providing organizational context as well as modularizing learning further than what is already available on the platform can be done. So if I were to double click on this, every organization has certain modules in certain areas that they like to weave into a learning content, which is very hard to do, right? But what we've said is using the power of AI, using the power of natural language inputs, how do we create a tool where within 15 minutes admins can actually generate a course for themselves and that can be assigned to the learners, which includes context. So that's the first part. The second part that we've observed is that often, our courses, there may be additions or subtractions that organizations might want to take to that. How do we make that faster? How do we enable them to really make it very, very flexible? So that's what we have also done. So this is the second part in terms of leveraging technology. The third is at the highest level from a learning perspective. We found that over the last 10 years, the world has moved from providing learning as a benefit to providing a library of content to actually doing skill building and making sure internal fulfillment, mobility, buy, build, all of these specific cost and revenue areas can really be solved through learning. So we've partnered with Lightcast to actually bring skills into the framework of everything that is taught and everything which is absorbed and learned by the learners, so that organizations can actually deploy them on projects, on their roles, give them opportunities for internal mobility on these demonstrable skill areas that they are able to show after they have learned on our platform. So these are the three areas that we have, really leveraged and really invested in from a learning perspective, and seeing some good results. And I'll definitely add what Archana shared, which is it's very important for organizations to know the technology available to ultimately be able to learn it. So technology is nothing without the actual leveraging by individuals.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, so much to look forward to, so much happening real time. On a closing note, this is a question for both of you. I'd love to understand, as we close the session, how you envision the next decade of L&D evolving with all the advancements in technology. What are the new possibilities that you're foreseeing for crafting even more impactful learning experiences? And how do you see just overall the L&D space evolving in organizations across the world? Archana, would you like to kickstart?
Yeah, I think I've already kind of outlined the immersive experiences is going to be a huge thing for L&D. Right. I think in closing, I would say that for people, do not be afraid to use the tools that are already there. Right. We've got, for example, we open a web browser, it's already integrated with AI. We have apps on the phone which are already integrated, right? I think it is about understanding how can we bring AI into our daily lives in such a way that we are working integrated, rather than looking at it as a separate phenomenon or as a separate track that is happening. The more we integrate it, it's going to be easier for us to adapt to whatever is coming up next. But also awareness is important, because there is a possibility of being misled, being there's this whole thing about governance, about false information, about half truths, about what is real, what is not real. So I think we need to, as end users, become smarter in and become more discerning, and that will come only with usage. If we are shy, if we stay away, I think it's going to be harder for us to discern between what is reality and what is non-reality, even in a virtual world.
Wonderful. Absolutely. Certain factors that everyone needs to look out for across the board. Arushi, let's get you in here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, if we were to talk about the next decade, given so much has changed in the last 5 years, I think to predict anything is just very, very hard. But I would definitely say that AI is here to stay. It's not one of those things which people have been worried about, or have felt like is going to go away. So, I would definitely say that it's going to continue to evolve, and it's going to become a part of our lives in such a way that maybe the way electricity is, right? Where even if you're a user without really realizing it, it is kind of aware, it is kind of there even without you being aware. So that's the first thing that I would say. Secondly, in the context of learning, I would say personalization is going to become sharper and sharper over the next few years because of the availability of the various tools that we have. And then, as I always say, the one thing which will be constant is change. So we'll definitely have to be able to adapt to that.
Absolutely wonderful. What a great note to wrap this conversation. Ladies, thank you so much for being here today, sharing all your insights so candidly, and really helping our viewers understand what the impactful learning experiences with new gen technology can really have in store, all the potential that the tech has, and absolutely the path forward in the coming years. So, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you to all of our viewers for joining in on ETHR World's Virtual Thought Leadership Series powered by Coursera. Until next time, many thanks for watching.